This is tape number 1 to the videotape deposition of Vernetta Sherman in the matter of Robert John Glad versus Markeith Doran Dembi et al. Being heard before the U.S. District Court for the District of Maryland. Case number 113-CV-02473. This deposition is being held at 2 North Charles Street, Suite 600, Baltimore, Maryland 21201. Today's date is May 27th, 2014, and the time on the record is 2:04 p.m. My name is Kevin Mitchelluk, and I'm the videographer. Court reporter is Patricia Smith. Counsel, will you please introduce yourselves and affiliations, and the witness will be sworn.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Blumenthal. I represent the plaintiff, Robert Glad.
Good afternoon. This is Mark Kozlowski. I represent Mr. Glad as a counter defendant.
Good afternoon. This is Imal Akpan. I represent Vernetta Sherman, Markeith Dembi, Joan Wilmer, and Thomas H. Pauls, LLC.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to ask you, please, if you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now at hand will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Paul Blumenthal. You've sat in for the last 4 hours with Mr. Dembi's deposition, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I understand that you're here to testify as the corporate representative for Thomas Pauls, LLC. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
I also understand from your counsel that you individually have no claim against Mr. Glad or anyone else in this case. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I also understand your sister is Joan Wilmer or Joan Wilmer Pauls?
Yeah, sometimes she uses Joan Lana Wilmer, sometimes she uses Joan Pauls Wilmer. Same person.
Okay. And I understand that has some medical condition that she's not able to participate in this.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Tell them if they're unusual.
Yes. My son-in-law's name is Mitchell, Mitchell, Carter, Carter, and my daughter's name is Kara, Kara, Sherman, Sherman, hyphenated Carter, Carter, and my grandson's name is Jaden, Jayden, Carter, Carter.
Are any of the other 3 members that you live with involved in the business? And the business being the trucking business?
No, they are not.
Okay. None of them have a CDL?
No, they do not.
Okay. I understand from Mr. Dembi's deposition, you and your sister inherited the Mack truck in question, which was involved in an accident on August 9th, 2013, from your father. Is that right?
When did you say the accident was?
August 9th? I'm sorry, pardon me. Thank you. April 9th, 2013.
That's correct.
Okay. And you still have that vehicle?
Yes, we do.
And the vehicle is up and running?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you familiar with Mr. Dembi?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I understand he's been employed by Thomas Pauls, LLC since May 11th, 2011. Is that correct?
May 30th, 2011.
May 30th. Okay. How did Mr. Dembi come to be employed with Thomas Pauls?
Well, we knew that he had a CDL license, and we asked him to come and work for us. I knew his mother because we went to school together. So I've been knowing Markeith. He's the same age as my daughter. And like he told you, his uncle was working for us, for my dad, for like 30 years.
And is his uncle still alive?
No, he's deceased.
When did he die?
Oh, you had to ask me that. I don't remember. Maybe 15 years ago. I'm just guessing.
What driver, if any, did you have during the during the period of time when his uncle died until you got Mr. Dembi?
My dad had a gentleman named Ronald Thompson, Stevensville, Maryland, that worked for him, and also another gentleman by the name of Carl Cully. I think he still lives in Chester.
And they did the job of the
dump truck driver.
Was your only customer, I wanted to say client, Bramble?
That's exactly right. Now, before my sister and I took over the business, my father had an excavating business, so he not only drove a dump truck, but he did well, he hired someone to drive his dump truck, but he had an excavating business. We have downsized the business to just one dump truck. We don't do any excavating or anything like that anymore.
As far as you know, how did the Bramble contract come to Thomas Pauls?
I'm not really sure because my dad worked for Bramble for like 30 years, and we just carried on the contract with him, you know. Just a friendship thing, I guess.
There was one document we received from your attorney this morning that said you've had the contract. It's from them that they've had it with you for about 30 years.
Yes, sir. We don't work for anyone else, just David A. Bramble Incorporated in Chestertown, Maryland.
Is there a family relationship with your family and his?
My dad was friends with the father, Mr. Bramble.
And that was just it. So it was just a long-term family friendship.
Right. And by, you know, business, you know, excavating work, they got to become friends.
Do you have any financial interest? And when I speak of you now, I'm only talking about you as the corporate representative for the business. Is that okay?
Yes.
Do you have any interest in the Bramble business, asphalt business?
Do I have any interest? No, sir.
Financial? I mean,
No, sir.
Like 5%?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
And vice versa. Does Bramble have any interest, financial interest, in Thomas Pauls LLC?
No, sir.
Now, Mr. Dembi said that he filled out an employment application with Thomas Pauls. Is that correct?
With us,
And-
Thomas H. Pauls LLC. Yes, sir.
And how did that employment application come about? Was this something that was just generated for Mr. Dembi, or was this something that used for another or any other employees?
I think Mr. Bramble gave me the application. Generic application, name, address, date of birth, what type of license you have, what states you worked in, you ever been convicted by a felony or traffic offense, something like that, and signature.
Okay. And do you still have a copy of that at the shop?
I think I do.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you provide that to counsel so I can get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, when Mr. Dembi filled out the application, did you go over any of the submissions on that application with him?
Did I go over any submissions with
Yes,
him?
in other words, for like traffic record, for example.
Yes, I did.
Did
Yes,
you have
I
any
did.
concerns when you went over his traffic record?
It wasn't any.
Hold on a second. Objection as to the form you can answer. And the objections, and I don't want to keep making the objections to the motion for protective order. But that's it. Go ahead.
The things that I had seen on his driving record were things that didn't, well, they appeared to be minor things. This is before we hired him, right? Yeah, before we hired him, appeared to be minor traffic violations, and most of them were closed cases. I didn't have a big concern because he was DOT certified. His driver's license was valid. His CDL license was valid.
Well, did you see a number of speeding tickets on his driving record?
Before we hired him, no, I did not.
Okay. Do you have any concerns of Mr. Dembi having a CDL license and having speeding tickets?
I have a bit of concern. Yes, I do.
Have you ever discussed it with him?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And are your concerns now relieved?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Did you go over any submissions on this application regarding any prior criminal involvement?
No, I didn't.
Did you look into it at all before you hired him?
Just what I saw on, case search, and I had also pulled a copy of his driving record before we hired him.
The driving record, isn't it fair to say, doesn't show any criminal convictions, but case search does.
Yes, I looked at case search too.
Did you go over those cases with him?
Yeah, I discussed them with him.
Did you have any concerns about his drug use, for example?
Well, you know, he explained the situation to me, what had happened. He was accused of this, but, you know, he said it. He was accused of this, but that, I think that was found not guilty as well.
Well, there's a couple that were found not guilty.
Right.
There's a couple guilty.
Right.
Did you ever go over those guilty findings with him?
I was concerned about it, and I asked him about, you know, what had happened, you know.
Did you know that he was found guilty right before you hired him for CDS non-marijuana?
No, I did not.
Did you
I don't
know-
know if that was on the record at the time we hired him.
Did you know he was on probation at the time you hired him?
I can't say if I did or not, no.
Did you know he was on probation at the time of this crash in April of 2013?
Objection as to the
think it
form.
was-
You can answer.
I think he was off of probation then.
If he was not off of probation, would that have given you any concerns?
I mean, you're always concerned if your employee has a record. There is a concern.
Were you concerned that he had a violation of probation for the drug charge while he was employed by Thomas Pauls?
Yes,
Did you discuss that with him?
we've talked about his record.
Did you ever have any conversations with a probation officer?
No, I never talked to probation officer. No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever go to court for Mr. Dembi?
No, I didn't. No, I have not.
Did you ever give Mr. Dembi a letter of reference or good standing for either his lawyer, public defender, or anybody in the court system?
No, I never have.
Would you have hired him had you known about the conviction for the drug case?
I probably still would have, yes.
Why is that, ma'am?
Because he, like I said, he has a valid, you know, CDL driver's license.
Would it concern you, though, if he was driving while he was intoxicated with drugs while he was driving for Thomas Pauls?
Oh, sure. But these convictions, none of these convictions were while he was in the dump truck. They're all personal convictions. None of these convictions were in the dump truck.
So your only concerns would be if he was arrested while driving a dump truck and stoned?
Well, I'm concerned about his personal too, but I'm just saying none of these convictions occurred while he was in our dump truck.
As the corporate representative for Thomas Pauls, do you keep up to date with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act?
Yes, sir, I do. And we received a large, thick manual that's in the dump truck right now. And I had him sign a certification that he had read it, yes, but we do keep up with that. Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you believe that Mr. Dembi is, withdraw that, is he in a safety-sensitive function as a dump truck driver for you?
Yes.
When you employed Mr. Dembi and reviewed his employment application, did he list prior hauling jobs as he mentioned this morning in deposition?
I can't say that I even asked that question on the application. I think I more or less asked how many years experience he'd had with driving a dump truck, and he had told me that he had also driven tractor trailers.
Did you follow up with any references of those previous employers that he mentioned this morning?
No, I did not.
Was he drug tested at the time he was employed?
Might not have been right at the time he was employed, but I think he's been to the Health Enhancement Center maybe like 3 times, drug and alcohol testing.
For a random urinalysis?
Yeah, Maryland Department of Transportation requires that we have that done.
For
And-
random or for yearly or every time his
Well,
license?
when I called the Department of Transportation, they told me that we had to be enrolled in a drug program through Maryland Department of Transportation. So I, paid the fees, and he has gone there several times.
Do you ever accompany him?
No, I don't, but I know he goes because I paid a bill and I get the receipt that, it's been paid, and they also mail me the test results. So I do know that he does go.
Is that the results that we got this morning through council?
I didn't see those, but I think so, yes.
Who is your medical review officer?
Medical review officer, is it Kristen Jensen?
I don't know.
I think it's Kristen Jensen. I think it's Kristen Jensen. I would have to look at my file.
Okay. Is that someone who's employed with Thomas Paul's, or is that someone who's just at that center?
At that center.
Do you ever have any conversations with Christian Jensen of drug and alcohol procedures?
No, I've talked to Mrs. LaVon Palmer because she's the one that sent me the package about alcohol and drug testing. I've talked to her. I've never talked to the gentleman.
Is that gentleman a doctor?
I think he is a doctor. I've just talked to the office managers who I've talked to. I guess she's an office manager.
Did you ever talk to them about any drug use by Mr. Dembi?
I've talked to her, and she told me that his results were negative, and she mailed them to me.
That's the extent of the conversation?
That's correct.
Okay. Besides the physicals that Mr. Dembi receives that he talked about this morning to get his DOT certification, are you aware of any other medical involvement Mr. Dembi has with anybody?
Medical involvement?
Yeah, besides any injuries he's claiming he suffered after the April incident, before that time?
No, not before the accident.
Okay. Have you ever seen Mr. Dembi appear to be under the influence of either drugs or alcohol?
Never.
Regarding Mr. Denby's driving, have you ever witnessed Mr. Dembi drive any vehicles outside of a personal vehicle before you hired him?
Have I ever what?
Witnessed Mr. Dembi driving any vehicles outside of his personal vehicles before you hired him?
No.
Did Mr. Dembi have a road test with either you or Ms. Pauls?
No, because my sister and I don't have CDL license. My nephew, Clarence Pritchard IV, took him out on a road trip because he got the school bus from my dad's estate. So my nephew has a CDL license, and he has a school bus which stays at the address that the dump truck's at, and he has a bus inspection 3 times a year, and he's never failed any. So he's a valid CDL licensed driver. So I had Markeith go right with him because doing blacktop, you have to be able to back up straight.
And I take it Mr. Pritchard goes by the nickname of Sonny?
That's right.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Besides Mr. Pritchard and Mr. Dembi, is there anybody around, and I'm using the term loosely, either employed, a nephew, or somebody that is around the business that has a CDL?
I don't know if my dad's nephew does. My dad's nephew is the one that replaces the tires for us. He has a tire business. I don't know if he has a CDL license or not.
Is he involved in any of the maintenance on
The
Mack truck?
tires. He keeps check on the tires for us.
What's
the
his
maintenance.
name?
James Edward Pauls, my dad's nephew. He has a tire business in
Where is he?
Centerville, Maryland.
Okay. Thank you. Has retreads ever been put on the dump truck?
I don't think so.
Not 100% sure.
I'm
though.
saying that because the tires are very pricey. I don't think they're retreads.
Okay. It would not be consistent with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act if in fact they were, is that right?
That's right.
Now, Mr. Dembi, no, withdraw that. I'd like to show you what's been previously used in Mr. Dembi's deposition. I'm sure you're familiar with these as deposition exhibits number 1 and 2. Whose handwriting's number 1, ma'am?
That's mine.
Okay, and number 2?
That's mine.
Same handwriting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why are the, well, purports to be logs, I guess, why are they in different format?
What do you mean different format?
Well, number 1, what's it state? It gives you a bit of a history of the job and the time, etc. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
And you don't have that in the second exhibit.
How come I don't have this here?
Something like that, yes, ma'am.
These are the load slips. Whenever he has loads, he gets slips some days. Evidently, he didn't get any slips from the foreman this day.
Okay.
This is the same as this, just different dates. He had slips from the job this day. This is the first week of work, and this must be the second week of work. Yeah.
You said exhibit 1 is the first week of work.
I think. I mean, I don't know what the 1st of April was on.
Okay.
The 9th was on a Tuesday, Monday. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, this is 2 different weeks.
Okay. And you say first.
I hand wrote this, and I guess we were just starting to run the truck, and the next week I decided to type it instead of, this. You know.
When you say first week of work, you're talking about in the month.
The first,
Is that what you
the
mean?
truck shuts down just before Christmas. We don't have any work until the end of March or 1st of April. We had only been on the road 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days when we had this accident.
Okay. So is it fair
We
to
had
s-
no
Okay.
invoices or anything before April 1st.
And you said it shuts down, I'm sorry, Christmas before Christmas?
Maybe a week before Christmas. And
Okay.
we don't have any work from Bramble until till the last week of March or the first week of April. It depends on the weather.
So
We have no work
about for
January,
4.5 months, give or take.
Yes.
Okay. So is it fair to say then for that 4.5 month period, give or take, Mr. Dembi did not drive the Mack truck?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. After he stopped driving the truck in December, my nephew, Sonny, when it was good weather, he changed the oil and did routine maintenance over the winter. Like I said, good weather, he did.
So Sonny checked the truck out and said it's okay.
Yes.
Did anybody check Mr. Dembi out after the beginning of April to see if he still had his skills,
See if he still had what?
his driving skills?
No.
Okay. Unlike what Mr. Dembi testified to regarding exhibit number 2, that's not mileage there. That's
Ticket numbers.
Ticket number. Okay, thank you.
He's not familiar with seeing this. He doesn't, this is mine. This is what I fax into Bramble. Yeah, he doesn't see this,
Is that why it says facts on exhibit number 1?
probably.
Okay. Are there any other documents which show what the hours of service Mr. Dembi has put into driving for Thomas Pauls?
Objection as to the form, you can answer.
Are there any other,
Are there any other documents that show, well, let me withdraw that, because counsel's right, that was a bad question. And when he says sometimes the form, it's because it's a bad question. I'm going to show you, can we have this marked, please?
Which would you want me to start over with? Number
No.
1 and 2?
Counsel, can we just go and make this number 8?
It's up to you. It's up to you how you ever want.
Okay, let's just make this number 8. Okay, ma'am, I'd like to show you what's been marked. It says Dembi number 8. We'll just call it Deposition 8. Can you tell me what that is, please?
this is one of our employee daily work order reports.
Oh, I'm
And-
sorry.
And the timesheet that I have for him would be a little different than this because we pay him from, this is when he started to work for Bramble, 7 o'clock. This is just a repeat of what's on there. I just write this on here and I also attach the slips and fax this to Bramble. It takes Markeith probably about 45 minutes to an hour when he works at the Massey plant. So if he gets to the house at 6 o'clock, I pay him from 6 o'clock until he gets back. So my hours are different than Bramble's hours.
Okay. But that document you have in your hand was produced by you?
That's correct.
Okay.
Or Minuteman Press.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not produced by Mr. Dembi then?
Right.
What does Mr. Dembi give you to show what he's been doing for you?
He gives me one of these every evening when he comes in. Yeah. And then I have these cards, you know, I guess you could say log cards, and his start time and his end time. So he started working at 7 o'clock at Massey plant. In reality, he may have come into us at 6 o'clock. And he finished at the Massey plant at 3:30. So in reality, his timesheet will say 6 a.m. to 4:30 because we pay him for travel from the time he leaves the business until the time he gets back. That's how we pay him.
Have you ever had any reason to believe Mr. Dembi has falsified any of those submissions to you?
Not at all.
Okay.
Because I'm not always at the business when he comes in, because I live up the street and I don't sit in the office all day. You know, I do other things, you know, hospice volunteering and things like that. But no, I don't believe that because Mr. Dembi, if he comes in at 3:15, he'll put on a timesheet 3:15. And I said to him, I'm not going to be bothered with those minutes. I'll just pay you till 3:30. And one day I was there and I got his timesheet after he had gone, and it had on his timesheet 5 o'clock. And I said to him the next day, it was 5:30 when you came in here. Why did you put 5 o'clock on your timesheet? He said, because I stopped to get a soda, and that was on my time, not your time. So I know he's honest.
Okay.
Because I was there when he came in, so he could very well said 5:30 because she's here and she sees what time. That's why I know he's honest.
Okay. All right. Counsel's going to ask you questions about the vehicle and the repairs to the vehicle, but I just want to ask you, was there any issues with the vehicle when Mr. Dembi was driving it? I'm talking about mechanical issues on April 9th, 2013.
No, because my nephew Sonny had checked it out. It had it was inspected by had a motor carrier safety done. I think like summer of 2012. So maybe about 7 months, 8 months before the dump truck accident. No issues. No No issues.
Okay. Ma'am, is the truck used on the weekends for any jobs?
No.
Is it fair to say then the truck is only used to be driven from the shop to Brambles, to the site, back to Brambles, and back home at night?
That's correct.
Okay.
Nobody else drives it unless something goes wrong with the truck, and my nephew may drive it to Elliott Wilson Trucks in Eastern Maryland or Harvey Mack in Delmar, Maryland, or Delmar, Delaware. No, it sits there.
Now, how did you find out that Mr. Dembi and my client were involved in an accident?
Because Mr. Dembi called, I was in Annapolis getting ready to go into an appointment. He called me from his phone, and he said, someone just ran up in back of me. And I said, okay, call the police. And he said, okay. He said, I'm going to go back here and see if they're okay, because he said the car is in pretty bad shape. So he called me.
Do you know if he called the police or not?
I can't say that because I wasn't there.
Okay. Did you come to the scene afterwards?
Yes, I did. After I finished with my appointment, I got there. Like I said, I was in Annapolis around 1 something, getting ready to go into an appointment. And my nephew, Sonny, went with me as well.
Okay. Anybody else?
No, just my nephew, Sonny, and I.
Were any photographs taken by either you or Sonny?
Sonny took some photographs. Yes, he did.
Okay. Do you have those pictures?
No, I don't.
Does Sonny have those pictures?
Probably. I'm not sure. I can
Okay.
check and see.
Okay.
He took photographs of the truck, and Markeith took us out there to the accident site and went over the accident with Sonny and I. And then we stayed at the job site, and we stayed at the job site and waited for a tow truck to come and tow the truck to Harvey Mack, where we purchased the truck from.
Were you or your father did?
My father was deceased October 20th, 2007. So, no, my nephew and I.
No, I'm
Wait.
sorry. I'm sorry. When you say where we purchased the truck from.
Oh, I'm sorry, my father did.
that's-
In 1997, I'm sorry, my father purchased a truck from Harvey Mack Trucks in Delmar, Maryland in 97.
We're in the same wavelength now.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, my dad purchased it.
At the scene, you said you were there with Sonny.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Dembi.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Dembi gave a statement, or he told both of you what had happened. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Was there anybody else around at that time?
When he told,
yes.
nobody else was there. We were waiting for the tow truck to come. No one. It was people around, but not close by to us. It was other people in the yard working at the Bramble pit working, but they couldn't hear what we were saying. They were over there. We were over here.
Okay. Did you and Sonny come to where the accident scene was on 301 to meet Mr. Dembi, and that's where he told you what happened, or did you meet Mr. Dembi at Brambles?
We met him at Brambles.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't on the highway when we got there. He had gotten off the highway. He had gone to Brambles.
And how did the truck get from the highway to Brambles?
He drove it there.
So it was drivable.
It was a tire off, yeah, but he drove it there. As a matter of fact, my dad's nephew came out to see if he could replace the tire, but, the rim was too bent. It was too damaged.
Okay. But it was drivable enough to get
Get it off the road.
about 1,200 feet.
It wasn't very far that he had to drive it.
Would you agree it's about 1,200 feet from the crash scene to 313? Are you good with this distance?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And then you make a
I don't
right.
want to lie.
No, it's okay. And then you make a right to get to Brambles.
That's right.
How far is the pit?
It's not very far.
Okay.
Just a few minutes.
All right. Okay. But he drove the truck there. Of course.
Yes,
And then he told you and Sonny what he thinks happened.
that's right. And Sonny called a tow truck in Delmar, Maryland, and they came and took the truck to Harvey Mack. It got there the next day.
When you got to the scene of the crash, had the truck, maybe I missed this already, did Mr. Dembi had already driven it to Brambles and you met him at Brambles?
I didn't meet him at the crash site. I met him at
Got
Brambles.
it. I missed that. I'm sorry. Did you drive by the crash site to get to Brambles?
Yes.
Was there any activity, anybody there? Any investigators?
No.
Okay.
No, they had all gone.
Was there anybody at Brambles who asked questions of you, Sonny, or Mr. Dembi of what happened?
No, I didn't talk to anybody there. No.
Okay. Mr. Dembi testified that a DOT officer came to the scene. Do you know who that was?
No.
Okay. Have you ever received a DOT report about this crash?
I received something from Motor Carrier Safety, different things that they found wrong with the truck, but the different things that were wrong with the truck were due to the accident. I think he gave it to Mr. Dembi that day, and he in turn gave it to me.
Okay.
So they told me they wanted it faxed back within a month, and I called them and told them, I said, I can fax it back to you in a month, but these repairs and issues still haven't been corrected. So I think I made a notation at the bottom of the form that when the truck would be completed.
Okay.
Because they said they wanted it to be corrected and send it back in a month, but we didn't get the truck worked on right away, you know, hold up with the insurance company.
Okay. And that was Cincinnati Insurance?
Yes, sir.
I understand from your answers to interrogatories you called Cincinnati Insurance.
Oh, yes.
Did you give a recorded statement to them?
Yeah, but Mr. Dembi, more or less, I mean, I can only say what I heard about the truck. I mean, but yeah, I did talk to them.
And Mr. Dembi spoke with them as well?
Yes, yes.
Did you ever speak with anybody from Liberty Mutual?
Mr. Michael Fallon? Yeah, Liberty Mutual?
Do you know if Mr. Dembi did as well?
I don't think so.
Okay. Besides, did you ever speak with any police officers?
I talked to a police officer when I went to the Centerville Police Barracks to pick up the police report.
Okay. Do you know who you spoke with?
No,
Okay.
he was just the person that handed me the police report because it seemed like it was so long coming. So they said, oh, we have it here. You can come and pick it up. So he just handed it to me.
Okay. In one of the answers to your interrogatories, do you remember the interrogatories that you signed? I'll to give you a copy.
I think so.
Okay. You gave a recitation of how the accident happened, which I believe is identical to what Mr. Dembi stated.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree you have no personal knowledge of what happened around 1:17, 1:30 on April 9th, 2013?
Do I have any what?
You have no personal knowledge of what happened. You were in Annapolis, is that correct?
I was in Annapolis.
So you're just relying on what Mr. Dembi told
That's
you?
correct.
Okay. Let me just go off the record for a second.
Sure. Let's pause tape one. We're going off the record at 2:43 p.m. Right. We're going to resume tape one. We're back on at 2:47 p.m.
Okay. Ms. Sherman, I'm just looking through some documents your counsel gave us this morning. I noticed that you do work in Virginia as well.
No. The motor carrier permit came from Virginia. I don't think it's a place in Maryland. As a matter of fact, they're not called Motor Vehicle Administration in Virginia. They're called Department of, they're not called Motor Vehicle Administration like we have here in Maryland now. They're called Department of Motor Vehicles. But I got it from the state of Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, but our base state is Maryland. We are a intrastate not an
Not in-
interstate. We only do Maryland. We don't go anywhere else. There's too many permits that are required to go out of state.
Okay, just a couple more questions. I'm looking at another document we got this morning. This is, it looks like an inspection from DOT on the day of the accident, April 9th, 2013, and somebody did a walk-around inspection.
Yes, sir.
You're familiar with this document?
Yes, sir.
It states under violations, flat tire or fabric exposed. Was that one of the tires that was?
That was from the accident. Yes, sir.
Okay. It says tire other tread depth less than 2 seconds, 2/32 of an inch. What tire is that one from?
I don't know.
Would you agree whether there was an accident or not, that would be an unsafe tire with 2/32 of an inch of tread left?
Objection as to the form. You can answer.
I don't know.
Well, that's almost no rubber. Would you agree?
Objection as to the form. You can answer.
But we had an inspection a few months before that, and the truck was okay. That was in August, September, October, November. This truck shut down in December, didn't go back out until April. And like I said, my cousin keeps good check on those tires.
Well, if there is a truck, sorry, withdraw that. If there is a tire with no tread, you would agree that didn't come from the accident.
Objection
Correct.
as to the form. You can answer.
Okay. I have nothing
Correct.
further.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am. Counsel?
Hi, Ms. Sherman, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Mark Kozlowski. I have a couple of questions for you, really, which pertains to the damage to the truck and some injuries to Mr. Dembi. Was the truck obvious? Well, let me state it in this manner. The truck was obviously damaged in the accident, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Were the damages repaired?
Yes, sir. The accident was April the 9th. The guy was late coming to tow the truck, so he kept the truck in his shop and he took it to Harvey Mack. The next day was April the 10th. I think the repairs were completed maybe like June 5th, June 11th or something like that.
Okay, and I'm looking at, and the repairs were completed by Harvey Mack, correct?
Yes, and they
And-
took the truck to another site for a couple days to get it welded.
Okay.
And then they brought it back to Harvey Mack, and my nephew Sonny picked it up from Harvey Mack.
I'm looking at an invoice that's been produced in the case, and I don't think we need to mark it as an exhibit, but, excuse me, the invoice I'm looking at is $11,511.32.
That sounds correct.
Okay.
Do you want to
You
use it?
you can show it to Ms. Sherman. Yeah, and thank you, counsel, for providing that to her. Is that the accurate copy of the invoice that your company incurred in terms of expenses for damages to the truck?
This and also yes, this is.
Okay, and I think what you were just about to refer to was a business law statement from David A. Bramble, Inc.
That's correct.
Okay, and those are the two, in that document I have also, at least electronically in front of me, listing the income that your business lost as a result of the vehicle being out of commission.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Are there any other losses, expenses incurred by the business as a result of the accident? And I'm asking only about the business and not about Mr. Dembi. I'll ask about him in a second. I'm sure he's excited.
But like I said, a dump truck and the
And the loss of business.
lost wages. I mean,
or the loss of income to the business.
Yeah,
Is
loss
that-
of income. I mean, I did some running around because of the accident, but I mean, I didn't throw that in there. I mean, I had to
Right.
take my nephew to Harvey Mack to pick up the truck. I had to drive to the police station to pick up the police report. I mean,
Right.
different little incidental things that, I didn't.
You
Throw that
didn't
in.
include. Can we just go off the record for 1 second?
Sure. So, pause tape 1, we're going off at 2:53 p.m. We're resuming tape 1, we're back on at 2:53 p.m.
I'm sorry to keep you again, Ms. Sherman, any
It's
longer
fine.
than
It's
you
fine.
need, than you need to be here. I enjoy your company. It's certainly nice to meet you. You completed a verification of lost wages for Mr. Dembi after the accident. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Can I hand this to you through other counsel, and we can mark that as the next exhibit?
I think we're up to 9. Yes.
For purposes of the record, that's Exhibit 9 for the totality of depositions that occurred today. You signed that document, is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
And
that's
it's
my hand.
accurate in terms of what Mr. Dembi's lost wage claim was?
Yes.
Okay. Has Mr. Dembi lost any other time since the accident other than that is reflected in Exhibit 9?
Maybe just a day or two, not very much. He's very, very dependable.
Okay.
Very dependable.
Now, you sat through his deposition, obviously, correct? Mr. Dembi's deposition.
I said,
You were here.
You
Yeah,
were here.
oh, yes.
You sat through it. You were
Yes.
here as was I.
oh, yes.
Excuse me. And you heard Mr. Dembi complain that he has continuing back pain. Is that something he has made you as his employer aware of?
He never complained about his back until after this dump truck accident.
Okay. And do you realize that what he told me at deposition, that he's been having back pain for almost a year without treatment? Were you aware of that?
Yes, he's told me he said back pain, but he told me he wasn't into taking pills, taking medicine. He says, his words to me was, I just have to deal with it.
Okay. As Mr. Dembi's employer, have you made any recommendations to Mr. Dembi to seek further medical evaluation for his ongoing problems?
No, I hadn't.
Did you consider the fact that his ongoing back pain may affect his job performance?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
All right, ma'am, that's all the questions I have. I will, for the record, reserve the right to reconvene the deposition upon receipt of discovery response.
Sure.
We can go off.
Okay.
I wanted to take this phone call. Oh, sorry.
Does this conclude your deposition?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then this concludes tape 1 and the end of the videotape deposition of Bernetta Sherman. We're going off the video record on May 27, 2014 at 2:56 p.m.
I want to